Hi, Chris here with the iwork8 from Cube. It's a Windows 10 only tablet, 8 inches. It's got the 1280 by 800 screen on it, and it's not a super sharp screen. Right now I've got the brightness down to 25% just to show you that when it's at this level of brightness, it has quite a blue tinge to it. The white background here should actually look reasonably white, but it's quite a cool white screen. It's definitely not a warm white. And I noticed that when you do actually increase the brightness, it's 50% now at the moment, and up to 100%, it does change and becomes more of a white color finally. It's just on those lower levels, it tends to have quite a blue tinge to it, but overall, I mean, the screen doesn't look too bad. You do have to take into account that this is an $80 US tablet, around that mark, 85, 80 US at the time of this video. So it's relatively cheap for an Atom Cherry Trail tablet. It's got the X5Z 8300 in it with a turbo of 1.84 gigahertz. And I have ran through a few tests. You can see at the moment this is the MMC speed, so it's the internal storage. It's not particularly fast. It's a generic N card is what it comes up as. So it's either a 4C or BWin brand eMMC. And those write speeds, show the device manager, the write speeds aren't particularly good, especially the 4K speeds, quite slow, but I haven't really noticed it having too much of an impact on Windows. Just go on the disk drives. You can see a generic N card is what it's listed at, and normally in my experience when I've actually opened tablets up, I found out that the N cards are normally 4C or BWin brand cards. Now there's the screen. The touch response of the screen is quite good, and it's quite a clear screen, and the maximum brightness, as I showed you before, isn't too bad. I'm not going to turn it right up because it tends to overpower the camera a little bit. Now I've run through a lot of benchmarks. This was the wireless speed test I did, so it got almost 40 megabits per second, around about the same speed that my desktop got that's connected up to the actual router, so wasn't bad at all. Upload speed of 20, I managed to get about 25 out of my desktop, so a tiny bit slower there, but overall not too bad at all. Now the other benchmarks that I ran, you see there's a couple of things here in Chinese, but I can actually get rid of that. The other benchmarks, I'll just show you in a second, that I ran was, for example, the 3D Mark 11 score, P334, is a very low score if you're comparing this if you had a gaming desktop. Then, well, you couldn't even call it a gaming desktop with that kind of score, but it's very low. But for a tablet, this kind of tablet, it's okay. It's definitely faster than the older generation Atom Bay Trails. And here's the PC Mark 7 score. It's around about the same score as the Atom Z3735F. Probably let down a little bit by the speed of that eMMC drive. Here's the CloudGate 1.1. iStorm 1.2, and the Geekbench 3 score. Again, another score that's around about the same level as the Bay Trail Z3735. Now if I quickly just show you the camera, the front-facing rear cameras are only 2 megapixels, so they're not really usable at all for photos. But it's okay for video chat. I found using Skype that it came out okay. That's the front-facing camera. It does run at 30 frames per second, 2 megapixel resolution. And you're just picking up my light there, so you can't really see too much. But it's working. It's not that bad. I mean, it's definitely not the best camera you'll see, but it's okay for the price range, I think. Now, I will show you the temperatures. I had HW info running in the background, and show you here that it got up to 85 degrees, so it's another hot Cherry Trail chip, but no thermal throttling apparently. Still got up to 85 though, which isn't really good to see, but apparently it didn't throttle itself yet. Now this is when I did a lot of tests, benchmarking, so overall not really that good, the temperatures. And if you've seen the unboxing video where I showed the ports and everything of the tablet, I'll just quickly go over that again. So we have the micro SD card fits in like this. It's quite easy to remove it. It sits right on the edge and it shouldn't pop out or anything. That's that rear megapixel camera there, the 2 megapixel camera, the 3.5mm headphone jack, our micro HDMI, and then the micro USB port, which can be used for data if you wanted to connect up a USB drive, and the tiny little speaker on the rear, which isn't particularly good. It's quite hopeless really as a speaker. Not very loud, not very clear. I don't particularly like it that much. Now the outer trim, this is silver along there, but that's not actually metal. It's made to look like metal, but it's not. It's all a plasticky build. It has a textured plastic back on it, a plasticky feel, but overall the build quality is not bad at all. Doesn't feel like it's going to fall apart, although it is plasticky. There's no creaks, and it's not really flexible. It seems solid enough in hand, and the weight of it is not too bad at all. Now battery life is another thing that I did have a quick look at. I have been using it. You're looking around 4 hours battery life. At the moment it's telling me my full run time is going to be 3.5 hours, but I have been benchmarking. Now Battery Bar Pro isn't detecting the capacity of the battery properly there. It's saying it's got 23% wear already, and it's saying a new tablet, so I'm not too sure what's going on there. It could be a problem with this program, but I've had it on since 100%. It's running for almost 2 hours, and I'm now at 50%. So all in all, you're looking, 4 hours. You could probably squeeze that out maybe to 4.5. I did notice that when the battery percentage gets to 7%, it will sit on 7% for another half an hour or so and continue to go. And then you just have to be careful that once it gets to about 4%, it will just suddenly power itself off. But you can squeeze a little bit more battery time out of it. Now I will demonstrate some gaming on here. Just run a couple of Windows Store games that I have installed. First up, the Dungeon Hunter. So I have the brightness on, I think it's 50%, and volume is right up to 100% at the moment. You can see the frame rate is a little slow there at times, and there's a few stutters. But overall it looks like that a game like Dungeon Hunter 5 is going to be playable. Store games, at least, should all be playable.
What would you do without me?
And this one is Modern Combat 5, very demanding game. Probably the most demanding game you can get on the Windows Store at the moment. And it is the game that is running the slowest, I think. Very, very laggy. And extremely painful to play this game actually, and it's just, whoops, why did that pop up? So their frame rate's getting down to about 10 frames per second or something. It's completely unplayable really. it's just almost impossible to play because the frame rate is so slow. So not a game I'd recommend trying on this tablet. So you can see there with that little bit of gaming that I just tested, those 2 games there, that a game like Dungeon Hunter 5 is going to run okay. Other lighter games will run fine, but things like games like GT Racing and Modern Combat 5, they will probably not run at all with playable frame rates. I don't see how you can really play that. Unless you lower the resolution down, you can do that, but it's already running at 1280 by 800 resolution, so you might have to lower that down even further if you can. And maybe you might get a slight boost in the frame rate, but really this isn't a tablet you want to be gaming on. Now just have a quick look at the temperatures again, just from that gaming test. So it's still at 85 degrees, and according to this, no thermal throttling, but the performance isn't really that great. Now things like Internet Explorer, the scrolling within Edge, is fine, and if you run Chrome, it's probably going to run a little bit slower, but overall, for the price of this tablet, it's 85 US, as I mentioned, around that figure there. It's okay for what you're getting. I think the build quality is right. You can have Skype or not, but just don't expect a huge amounts of performance or multitasking. And gaming, when it comes to gaming, just basic games really is all you're going to be able to play on this. Before I do go with this video, I just forgot to mention that up here we do have a Windows Home button. So instead of being an actual button on the screen like the Onda V820W, it's right here at the top. So pushing that, of course, will bring up our Windows 10 start menu. And it's okay. I do actually like the fact they've done that, the way they've positioned it. On the other tablets, we're having it here. You can sometimes accidentally bump it, and then of course the menu to come up if you're gaming can be a little bit annoying. And along the top here, of course, we've got our power and volume up and down. These are made out of metal there, those buttons. So overall, I think for the price, it's an okay tablet, but just bear in mind those facts that I mentioned before, that yeah, it's not going to be a gaming tablet. Thank you for watching the video, and hopefully see you in the channel more up and coming videos from China on Chinese tablets. Bye for now.